pray blessing upon our time tonight in the next two sessions? Who would pray that prayer? Hey, Tim?
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the privilege to come before you. We thank you for the teaching that we're going to receive. We ask that you would give us receptive hearts. Help us to concentrate in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. So just 3 minutes review. Have several people. What is something that you felt you learned last week that was important? Yeah. Something that you felt you learned last week that's important that will help you.
Oh, dealing with money.
What's right.
Oh, money, yes, that's okay now.
So easy to forget.
Yeah.
Freedom in our finances.
What was that?
We learn about Holy Spirit and we learn about freedom in our finances.
Right. So what's something you learned about freedom and finance that will help you in your life?
That we have to be content with what we have.
Okay, good. Thank you. Somebody else? Yes.
There's no diminishing in the kingdom of God when it comes to finances.
Okay, that's really good. Somebody else? I saw another hand over here.
Frugal in your thinking and your actions.
Okay, good. Did I see another hand over here somewhere? Yes.
Avoiding debt some way to accumulate wealth.
Avoiding
Debt.
debt. Yeah, good.
We have to cut out our credit cards.
Now, just for those that weren't here, I said there's 2 points. I said if you don't pay it off every month, and if you spend more by a credit card than if you would by cash, then I said then you need to cut it out. If you don't spend more and you pay it off, then keep your credit card. Just to qualify that a little bit.
Amen.
Okay. Yes, Nancy.
And also too, well, with a lot of people, I don't have a car, but you said that payments are, fixing the car in the garage is cheaper than making payments.
Yeah.
That's good. It's
Yeah,
cheaper.
repairs are cheaper than payments, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's good. So we just started talking about things that move us now toward freedom in our finances, okay? We talked last week basically things that move us away. Now we want to talk about things that move us toward freedom. And we looked at stewardship. We read the passage from Luke 19. So we need to keep right. Yes. I'm sorry. Oh, just a minute. I do have a few. Thank you. Here's how many outlines I have. So just pass them out to those that don't have one. We did get outline last week. Yeah. Okay. I'll just take them all by sheet.
See, this is how it works. This is how many notes I've taken, and that's Suzanne's paper.
It's all in my head. It's all in my head.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Everything, we talk about everything that we have comes from the hand of God. And I just want to say that the debt we now have is not from God. It's something that we chose to do. Okay? And probably, hopefully in this, by these three sessions, some of us will have made some choices that are good. Psalm 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein."
Sounds what?
Psalm 24:1. Deuteronomy 10:14. "Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is the Lord's, your God, and the earth also, with all that is therein." So I'm going to say all that we have in our life, our time, our abilities, our money, should be given to God. God, I consecrate all that I have to you, including my money. I consecrate it to you. Paul, as he wrote to those at Colossae in Colossians, the 3rd chapter, verse 17, he said, "And whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him." So every Christian is responsible and accountable to God for how they use what God has given them now and what they will do with their assets when they die and will talk a little bit more about that, hopefully before the session's over. So I want to say we need to be careful with our money, but not full of care about our money. Okay, let me say it again. We need to be careful with our money. Okay, that's what we've been talking about, but not full of care with our money. So I want to talk about tithing and how tithing moves us toward freedom in our finances. The first fruits, or the first 10% of the money we earn, belongs to God. Abraham gave tithes to Melchizedek, Genesis 14, 19, and 20. Tithing is more than part of the Mosaic Law. I hear, especially some of the younger generations, say, well, tithing is an Old Testament principle, and we're not living in the Old Testament. Well, we can see giving, if we look at it. The Old Testament talked about a percentage. If you read the New Testament, Paul, as he wrote to those in Corinth, he talks about giving proportionally as God blessed you. And giving bountifully. You know what? Giving proportionally and giving bountifully, I think, is about 10%. Okay? And I think as we do teaching and understanding, we connect the Old Testament with the New Testament. It's not like we got two books, and the Old Testament was for those people back then, and now we live in the New Testament. The Old Testament is filled with powerful truths that we all need to receive. Okay? It's powerful truths. Proverbs 3:9. Just before I read that. I just want to say that it's a privilege to give back to God. God gives us health. He gives us the ability to earn money. And He gives us the ability to accumulate money if we're careful. Okay? So it's an exercise of faith when we give back to God the tithe. Proverbs 3:9. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of your produce. Let me kind of paraphrase. Honor the Lord with your money and all that you make. Israel was neglecting the covenant relationship with God by robbing God of tithes and offerings. And God is challenging to the Israeli people is to give that which was to deserve it to God and show their faithfulness. I want to say, we give, and God will show His faithfulness. Some will say, well, God, if you show your faithfulness, then I'll give. That's the wrong way. We give as an act of faith, and as we give as an act of faith, then God will show His faithfulness. And in my life, I've seen over and over and over again, even in the area of finances, how God has been so faithful. Malachi 3:8-11. Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But you say, wherein have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse. For you have robbed me, even the whole nation. So God speaking to the prophet Malachi was saying those words. You are cursed with a curse because you have robbed me. Verse 10. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse. Now the storehouse is a local church that you're part of. You don't send your tithes to your TV pastor or some TV program. Your TV pastor can't come and pray for you when you're sick. He can't come and encourage you when you're discouraged. So you don't send your tithes to TV ministries. You don't do that. If you're doing it, that's not biblical. I'm going to say that. So bring your tithes into the storehouse, a local church, that there will be meat in my house. And prove me now, herewith says the Lord of hosts. Prove me. If I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, and there will not be room enough to receive it. I love those scriptures. So those are powerful verses. God is saying, He was saying to the children of Israel, because they had robbed and tithe offering, He was saying, prove me. If I will not open the windows of heaven, if you'll give I will open the windows of heaven, and I will pour down blessings. And the blessings I pour down, you will not be able to contain them.
That's right.
You won't be able to contain them. And God was saying that. And you know what? I just want to say, I believe there's probably some of you tonight in this class. God is saying to you that He wants you to prove His faithfulness as you give the first fruits, as you give the tithe. You will see how God is faithful in your life in very unique ways. Verse 11, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. God says not only what, part of how the blessing I bring, I'll rebuke the devourer. What's the devourer? Well, God
Enemy.
keeps your car running when it could have broke down. No, seriously. He keeps your car running. Or, you know, your furnace could have gone this last week, but God kept your furnace running. Or something else in the house. That God just rebukes the devourer. There's so many things. Or your children didn't have to go to the hospital, or you didn't have to get medication for your kids. There's many ways. Excuse me. I see that God rebukes the devourer. You know what? And you know, if you, I shall say this for you. If you haven't been a person that tithes, tithing is a big stretch. It's a big stretch. But I would encourage you. May you leave here tonight and say, God, you know what? The first fruits, the first 10% of money I get, Father God, I'm giving to you. I am going to prove you in the area of tithing. You know? Yes?
So can you expand a little bit about what you said about giving your tithes to, like, say, TV ministry, something like that?
Oh, I'm saying, listen, it says, Malachi says, bring the tithes into the storehouse. The storehouse is the local church that we attend. Okay? So we bring the tithes into the church we attend. Okay, and I'll just say one other thing about tithes. I don't think it's right for you to designate your tithe. Why do I think it's not right? Anyone? Why is it not right to designate your tithes?
What do you mean designate?
Pardon?
What do you mean by designate?
Designate mean, I want this money to go here in the church. Why do you think that's not right?
Because there could be a greater need somewhere else.
Yeah, you know what you're doing? You're really controlling your tithe. And you're saying the trustees of the board of directors that control the finances of the church do not have enough wisdom. So I'm going to designate the money goes here. And I just think that is not right. When we give our money, we release it to the Lord,
That's right.
to the local church. And then who the leadership that's responsible how it's spent, they are the one that takes responsibility. You trust God with that. Yes, Nancy.
With TV ministries, sometimes like you have ministries where you have Reinhard Bonnke and Billy Graham, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying those are good ministries, but you don't give your tithe there, Nancy. Offering, okay, I'm just coming to that. You guys are just running ahead of me. I'm coming to offerings in just a moment, okay? So just wait for a second, and then I'll take some more questions after I talk about offerings, okay? So 2 Corinthians 9, oh, I'm good.
It's an offering.
So Paul, as he wrote those at Corinth again in 2 Corinthians 9, says he's writing to the Christian believers at Corinth to send money to the poor people at Jerusalem. In the 9th chapter, verses 5 and 6, therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren to go ahead of time and prepare a generous gift, a bountiful gift to these people that are poor in Jerusalem. I love this verse, but he, 2 Corinthians 9, verses 5 and 6. Verse 6, but I say, he who sows sparingly shall reap sparingly.
Yeah.
And he that sows bountifully shall reap bountifully. You know what? Do you know any farmer that goes out in the spring and he puts very little seed in the field because he wants a kind of saved seed for later on? You know what he does? He sows the seed bountifully. How he sows it. So that come the harvest time, he has a bountiful harvest. You know? And that's a wonderful principle of life, not just the finance, but if you live your life by sowing bountifully in all dimensions of your life, it's a biblical principle. You shall reap bountifully. There isn't one of us in this room tonight that we do not want to reap bountifully in our life. We want to reap bountifully. So what do? We sow bountifully. And we know what kind of, because that's a principle. God does not change his principles. If you're sowing bountifully in the right kind of seeds, you shall reap bountifully those seeds. Eliminating debt moves us towards freedom in our finances, and that's where we want to go towards, freedom in our finances. We drift into debt, but we never drift out of debt. Okay? Many of us were caught drifting into debt, not realizing that, you know what, every month we're going farther in debt. But you'll never drift out of debt. It takes a determination to become debt-free. A focused determination if you want to become debt-free. So, you know, if we have whatever kind of bills we have, whatever kind of, and we start paying the highest interest ones first, we go on an austerity program, which we just quit spending. And we cut all the frills in life. Let me ask you this. If you cut all the frills in your life, can you still have an enjoyable life and a fulfilled life? Anybody? I hear you say yes. Why can you have a fulfilled life if you go on an austerity program and cut the frills? Why can you?
Because you spend within your means.
Yeah, but okay. But why can you? Okay. Someone else. You all said that you could have. Why do you say that?
Because you're debt free.
You might not be debt free at this point, but you're cutting all the frills out.
You get
Why?
healthier from eating less.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Someone else. Why can we have an enjoyable life and that?
Like learning to be happy with what you have and not rely on like extra fancy things to make you happy.
Yeah, that's right. Because, and we kind of talked about last week, it isn't about money. The most important things you have in your life is people. Your spouse, your kids, your friends. Those are the most important things. So you know what? You can go on an austerity program, cut out all the frills in your life, and you can still have a fulfilled life. Plus, the relationship with God, if that's right, and it's right with your family, you know what? You're blessed. And you don't need all the other stuff. We get sidetracked getting all the stuff. So now coming to offerings. Offerings are what we choose to give above the tithe. Okay. So I said tithe feed the faith of the church, but I'm going to say you can give offerings to Reinhard Bonnke Ministries. I heard that, and you can give your offerings to Billy Graham Association and Samaritan's Purse, wherever you want. You know what? And your TV ministries that you like. Give offerings as much as you want. Okay? You're free. But you keep your tithe in your local church. Yes?
So just to follow up on that. So
Yeah.
for example, so I used to attend a local church back home in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Before we came here.
Yeah.
So I occasionally allocate at least one time per year to go to the church. And you're saying it's not proper for me to do that then?
Well, listen, I don't think it's biblical. You know, it says you bring your tithes into the storehouse. The storehouse is where you receive, in your life, spiritual food and health and so on. That's why I think it's not right. The offerings, go ahead and give offerings as much as you want, wherever you want.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah, with Joseph Prince, he says on his shows that give your tithes and offerings up to the local church,
Who says that?
Pastor Prince.
Joseph Prince. You know what? He's the only one that I know of that says that. And I commend him for that.
Yeah, that's what I commend.
Yeah, he
He
always
says
says
a
that.
lot of good for in Vietnam and in for food and everything.
Okay. So, yes.
Yeah, I've attended this class before, so I was told to give our tithes to our local church.
Yeah.
Because me coming from Africa, I'll have maybe a family that I know that is so much in need. They said those people, I give them my offering, not my tithes, to help maybe an orphanage back home or something. But I give them offering and then tithes to my local church. Not the Bible school, your local church where you fellowship.
Yeah, so you see, you give offerings out. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good. I don't want to talk about the poor, give to the poor just a little bit later on. Okay, thank you. Planning and budgeting moves us toward freedom in our finances. Planning and budgeting. Always keep this thought in mind when we budget. The budget is working for you. You're not working for the budget. You know, I hear somebody say, I hate this budget. You know, because I can't spend, and you know, and they're mad at the budget. Well, just a minute. If you made the budget up, don't be mad at the budget. You know, seriously. No, I hear people say,
I'm the only one laughing.
It's hilarious.
yeah, so you know what? When you turn it around, the budget's working for you. It's working so you can accomplish the things that you wish to accomplish. It's working for you. Then you don't feel so bad about it. A budget is a plan on how we will spend and save our money. If we do not budget, we'll fritter away our money and there's nothing left at the end of the month. You know, this is a startling statistic. I can hardly believe it. And this is a statistic from the United States and probably the same in Canada. 70% of the people live from paycheck to paycheck regardless of how much money they make. So the $30,000 person per year, the $60,000, the $100,000, the $150,000, $200,000, 70% of those people live from paycheck to paycheck. So here's someone, or here's a couple that are making $200,000 a year, and yet they live from paycheck to paycheck. You know what? I think that is terrible. Now, if you make $30,000, I can see where it's much more difficult, and you might be living from paycheck to paycheck. But we need to keep accurate accounts of our funds. And we should have no loose floating dollars. What do I mean by floating dollars? Let's suppose you made $3,000 and your house payment and your utilities and so on was, say, let's say they're $2,000. All your expenses are $2,000. So you've got $1,000 left. Now, if you don't have it in the budget, what will you do with it? What do you think you'll do with it? Yeah, you know what? You'll spend it because it's floating dollars. When you don't have any floating dollars, that $1,000, some's going to savings, some's going to maybe emergency funds, wherever it is, and maybe some offerings you're given to wherever, okay, certain ministries you like. You don't have floating dollars. If you don't have even the offerings put in your budget where you're going to give this much to certain organizations that you really appreciate, you know, and they're floating and it's not, you'll probably fritter away $1,000.
Oh yeah.
And you won't have any money at the end of the month because you took the floating dollars and you just frittered them away. Yeah. Yes?
There's some things that is bothering me for years. I would like to have an answer about it. It's not for anyone, including me. Because church is supposed to have the keys of the kingdom, right?
Yeah.
To open whatever they want to open on earth, including financial. So why church is poor?
Because they don't give.
No.
Why should
Why church is poor?
Why?
Because Jesus came, he said, I give you the keys of the kingdom.
Yeah.
The keys you can open, what you open in heaven will be open on earth.
That's very good. I appreciate what you're saying.
So,
Can I wait to give you the answer to talk about the poor? And then I'll address the church issue.
Okay.
And we'll come to that. Okay? But that's a really good question. So I will talk about that. But I kind of jump ahead if I start answering your question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay? So in the Old New Testament, the scriptures repeat the wisdom about planning ahead and budgeting our resources so that we can live a blessed life. And we all want a blessed life. There's one in this room, you don't want to have the blessed life. Proverbs 27:23. Know the state of your flocks and put your heart into caring for your herds. Let me paraphrase that. Know the state of your finances. Okay? And take care of how you manage them. The exhortation is to look after what we have and just carefully budget the money we receive. We should all ask this question: am I living in a way that is financially sustainable and will help me thrive in the future? Okay? Am I living in a way that's financially sustainable and will help me thrive in the future? Okay, you just got to think that question through. Budgeting promotes financial well-being. By staying within the framework that a budget provides, we are more likely not to be sidetracked by the many landmines that come with financial difficulties. Budget eliminates the unknown. When our financial house is not in order, we'll likely be plagued by uncertainty and worry. A lot of people live in worry of their finances. They don't budget, they live in a state of worry as to their money matters. With money saved for emergencies, we're sure that even when unexpected expenses rise, we'll be prepared. You know, there was a couple in Regina and they had 5 kids. Nice couple, really nice couple. And he was struggling with his finance. And he came to me one day and said, you know, and he was talking about the stress of his finance. You know, and I said to him, you need to work through your finance. I'm not sure if I talked about budget that day. I said, you need to be committed to put something in savings every month. You have to look, where can you cut? Can you cut a little bit on the food or whatever? Maybe, you can go to Salvation Army for some of the kids' clothes, whatever. I said, you need to work it through. You need to put something in savings every month. He looked at me like I was a little bit off. I said, no, you need to put something in savings every month. I said, what happens if one of your kids gets sick and is hospitalized or something, emergency happens, and you need money? Where's that money coming from? What are you going to do, borrow money? Where if you put something aside in emergency or savings, you would have it for those kind of cases, and you don't have the financial stress upon you. Budgeting allows us to make adjustments. When we encounter unexpected expenses, we can recalculate, we can move finance from one place to another, and we're not under tremendous stress. Budgeting and disciplining our spending lets us pursue our beliefs and our values and our goals. Okay? A budget will ensure that we are faithful in our giving. Having a budget helps us align our spending with our core values that we have in life and beliefs. And I would say we need disciplining our desires moves us toward financial freedom. Disciplining our desires moves us toward financial freedom. We really live in an immediate society, a now society. If you need money, you can run out of here after the classes are over. You know what? And you can pick up AM, and if you have any money, you can get out. And probably have a system. Maybe you can draw money on your credit card. I'm not saying you should do that, but people can get money. Money's not a difficult thing to get. So you get ATMs to get immediate money. If you're hungry after, tonight, guess what? In 5 minutes you can be at a fast food place. You can have food immediately. On and on it goes. You can just get. So we kind of live in this instant society where we want it now. And I still say, it's good for us to learn discipline in the area of our finances. And I would say it's good to learn discipline in all areas of our life. Harry Emerson said this: no horse ever gets anywhere until he is harnessed. No steam or gas ever drives anything until it is on fire. No Niagara is ever turned into light and power until it is tunneled. No life ever grows great until it's focused, dedicated, and disciplined. Let me just kind of take his quote and just change it a little bit. I would like to say no person's ever experiences financial freedom unless they're focused, dedicated, and disciplined. 3 things. Focus, dedicate, discipline if you want to be freedom in your finances. Vince Lombardi said, I've never known a man worth his salt, who in the long run, deep down in his heart, didn't appreciate the grind, the discipline. I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field, on the battle of victorious. Robert Frost's life is tons of discipline. Discipline will bring payoffs in whatever area of life we apply it for. Just think for a moment. If we have spiritual disciplines of reading the Word and communing with God every day, we will grow spiritually. We have those spiritual disciplines. You know, I believe that a lot of Christians don't have spiritual disciplines. They don't discipline themselves to read the Word. They don't discipline themselves to commune with God. They just don't do that. They come on Sunday and they hope that the minister will give them a good shot and do it for a week. You know, it's not enough. Spiritual discipline for it. Physical disciplines. You know, if we do physical disciplines, we do exercise to keep our body fit, we have increased energy, we have resistance to sickness. If we do disciplines physically, and then there's financial disciplines. If we will discipline ourselves in the area of finance, we will move toward financial freedom. So discipline ourselves to needs and wants. We can live on less versus extravagance. I just want to talk a little bit about discipline in grocery shopping. You know, and how we could save money and make money. You know what? When we go shopping, we need to shop for the essentials. That's what you shop for. You know what? The essentials, basically, if you think about it, are around the perimeter of a grocery store. Your produce is on the perimeter usually. The meat's on the perimeter. The dairy products on the perimeter. You know where we get caught up a lot of times is in the center aisles. And they get all kinds of wonderful things there. That are, you know, a lot of wonderful things. You know, how we like to buy those. You know, really, how we like to buy them. But you know what? The more you buy in those center aisles a lot of times, the more your grocery bill's going up. Yeah? You can buy a 20-pound bag of potatoes for like $6, $8 in a store. Potatoes are a healthy item. That's not very much money. And they're really good for you if you eat them with the skins on. You know, we do a lot of stuffed potatoes and time we're finished while we're doing it. I mean, not so healthy. But you know what? Shop the perimeter. That'll save you a lot of money and quit going down all the center aisles. Discipline your shopping. You know, I have to say, and watch for sale items. You know, I just think even just 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe it was around Christmas time, Dole pineapple tidbits were on sale for like $1. They were $1.99. I said, my wife, we need to buy a number of those. You know what? We need to buy enough for 4 to 6 months because look at the savings. That's like 50% saving. Where can you put your money and make 50% on it? That's right in your groceries. You know, so you know, looking at the flyers and buying sale items and save, it helps you. So, you know, we need a discipline, and that's the big thing of eating out. You know, if you're trying to move for financial freedom, you know what? You got to curb the eating out. Eating out costs a lot of money. It's a lot of fun. Costs a lot of money. Now, if you're debt free, guess what?
You can eat them.
Big Macs every day.
Oh, that's unhealthy. You're falling off the way. You know, but you know, I said to couples, young couples, that are just starting out, and I said, now look, you two have to make a decision. How much money are you going to spend eating out? Because a lot of young couples, when they're they spend a huge amount, far more on eating out than they do on their food budget. I said, as a couple, you can decide how much you're going to spend on eating out. And then live within that. And I said to him, there's many things you can do. There's many date nights you go on, and it doesn't be expensive, and I can't sidetrack on there, but there is many things you can do. So, that costs a lot of money. So if you're trying to move debt free, you just have to say, you know what? It's going to be confined to whatever. You've got to make that decision. We need a discipline in the possessions we buy. Many of us are drowning in our possessions. Let me ask you, how full is your basement? How full is your storage shed? How full is your garage? I had a neighbor in Regina, we lived there 26 years. In the 26 years we lived there, he never put his cars in the garage once. Now, why didn't he put his cars in the garage? You know why? For 26 years, his garage was always full of stuff. Not once did he put his car in the garage.
He's a hoarder.
Like what do you get garage for? Seriously.
Saving up for the war. He's got food in there.
So we're drowning in possessions. What do? We take holidays and we buy. We go to store sales and we buy. We go to garage sales. Some of you are garage sale addicts probably. And you buy. It's not cost you much, you should still buy. Okay. You go to flea markets and you buy. The problem is, you don't discard. That's the problem. And we need to start discarding some things. Our homes fill up with more and more. We buy containers to organize our possessions. And we look for tips on how to be better organized. No, we need to learn some tips. How can I learn to discard? Seriously, that's really important. We don't need more stuff. In fact, probably a lot of us need to get rid of a lot of stuff we got. We don't need it. No, we don't need it. Life is easier if we don't have so much stuff. Okay? I try to for stuff that's mine now, not my wife's, or if it's home stuff, then we've got to be agreed. But if it's my stuff, I try to go through all my stuff once a year. What can I do with the stuff? Do I sell it? Do I give it to Salvation Army, or do I throw it out? 3 choices. And I try to move some stuff. I was just going through some drawers last night, and I recycled some stuff. A little bit went in the garbage, and it was really a good gesture. But I try to do it once a year. Go through. My wife and I have a container, a Salvation Army container, always. So when we decide, we're not going to. We move it along to Salvation Army container, so that we can keep. And every so often we just go to Salvation Army with a big container. Get rid of this stuff.
So you won't buy again?
Well, they're working. What's that?
But the essential.
Yes. Yes. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about investing wisely now, okay? There's successful men investing, there's successful women that invest, and I'm just going to read something about Proverbs 31. It's about the business woman, the virtuous woman, who was a successful business person. It says, verse 16 says, or verse 10, who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She seeks wool and flax, and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. She considers a field and buys it. From her profits, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies sashes for the merchants. Wonderful verses about the businesswoman there, and what a blessing was she to her husband, because she kept investing and doing things that brought profit to the home. We need to maintain right priorities in life and investing. You know, again comes back, Matthew 6:33, what does it say? Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Proverbs 10:22 says, the blessings of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. The blessings of the Lord make us rich spiritually and makes us have a sense of fulfillment in our life. The blessings of the Lord. Proverbs 8:18, riches and honor are with me, enduring riches and righteousness. Proverbs 15:16, better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasures with trouble. Proverbs 16:8, better is a little with righteousness than vast revenues without justice. Proverbs 22:4, by humility and the fear or the respect of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. Great verse. By humility and respect of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. The good things in life. And we can all enjoy the good things in life. Now I want to go and talk about some verses where we're blessed when we give to the poor. Okay? It's so important. And we need to be alert of needs, that are there. Needs for the widows and other people. I just want to read several verses about the poor. Proverbs 14:21 says, but he who has mercy on the poor, happy is he. Proverbs 19:17, he who has pity on the poor lends to the Lord. Isn't that interesting? He who has pity and cares for the poor, you're lending to the Lord. You're giving to the Lord as you do that. And he will pay back what is given. He who has a bountiful eye will be blessed, for he gives his bread to the poor. Proverbs 28:27, he who gives the poor will not lack. It's very good. He who gives the poor will not lack. But he who hides his eyes will have many curses. Proverbs 22, verses 22 and 23. Do not rob the poor because he's poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gain. For the Lord will plead his cause, and plunder the soul of those who plunder them. Though men fail to defend the poor, God will. One more verse. Proverbs 17:5. He who mocks the poor reproaches his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. He who gives the poor will not lack. I want to talk now. I just want to say that, you know what? I think as Christians, we don't give enough to the poor. Okay? We need to give more to the poor. Now, I'm thinking you need to be wise in how we give to the poor. I don't think that you walk down the street and every person that's begging you give them money. Okay? Because a lot of times you're giving money to a person that just goes down and buys more alcohol. We have wonderful organizations, that I want to say Souls Harbor, that's Regina. What's the, Mustard Seed. You know what? That's just one organization. There's other organizations. They do such a wonderful job of caring for the poor. So as we think of giving money to poor, we think of organizations like the Mustard Seed. I went and they had a kind of open house celebration in a place out in Southeast. It was really good, and I was really impressed with the great ministry that the Mustard Seed's doing. And there's others as well. But you know what? I think a lot of times we give our money to the poor via that way. So let's not be foolish in just giving. When we go to, my wife and I go to midweek prayer, we would go drive down certain streets. You know what? Every week, same guy out there, and when the car stopped the lights, he'd go down and have his hand out and collect money. You know what? I don't think that's wise to give those kind of individuals, because places like Mustard Seed, and other places like that, they will care for those individuals. Those individuals go and say, look, I'm destitute and I need whatever. Those institutions will give it to them. Okay? And so we need to be wise in how we care for them. But we do need to care for the poor. And I want to make this comment. We're going to talk now about the churches. I think, okay, this is my opinion, I don't think we as churches corporately do enough for the poor people personally. I don't think we do. I think churches need to be much more proactive in caring for the poor as a church. And I think that's where the blessing comes in. You asked about, the blessing of God coming in on churches. I think a lot of times, we have a lot of other things in churches we give money to. And there might be good programs. We have 5 good programs or 8 good programs. Where's the poor fitting in there? I don't see in churches that the poor are on the list very high. And I think that needs to be strong on the list. I think churches would know a blessing if they started giving money to the poor corporately. We as individuals need to give money as part of our offerings, but I think churches corporately need to give. Let me just tell you the story. Going back when we lived in Calgary before we moved to Regina, this goes back, way back, in the days of the Jesus people. The Jesus people would try to come in to evangelical churches. And they didn't smell very good. So, you know what? Those people didn't fit our nice church with all our nice clothes and how we smelled nice. And here's this street person, this Jesus person. He's got long hair and he's probably barefoot and he's whatever. They don't fit our church. Now, churches didn't quite say that, but they did by their actions. There's only one church I know of back then that did it, and there may be others. Imani Pentecost invited the Jesus people into their church. Imani Pentecost is on 17th Avenue, about, 2nd Street, Southwest, whatever, somewhere in there. Southeast. Yeah. You know what? And during that year, during that time, that church become debt-free. Why did it become debt-free? The Jesus people that come in that were smelly, they didn't have a lot of money. But God honored Emmanuel Pentecost because they cared for the poor. And he caused, I'm not sure how it is, he caused people to give money to them. They become debt-free during the Jesus people time. Because God was blessing them because they gave to the poor. To me that's really powerful.
Yeah, one time they make a conference and they asked everybody should pay like $1 to help that church. So we are there. So $1, we say $1, and there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So $1 become a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Because some people they can't pay.
Yeah.
But they say $1. So that's why they're doing the ministry.
Yeah. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question about why don't we see prosperity in churches. I think that's part of it. Or that was your question, sorry. Sorry, so your question. Get the right guy. Okay, we'll break. We'll come back at 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 more hour.
John got a hair. Yeah. Looks nice.
It says at the front here, you just have to.
Yeah. For which one?
I just keep yours.
Teaching at our spiritual growth in churches.
There was a class in here though that had.
So the last 2 classes, what was it? It was renewed mind. I gotta stand up.
Sally, did you put the camera on pause?
So the last 2 classes were renewed mind and prayer.